So thanks for the introduction, Amit. As Amit mentioned, I am the co-leader of the Salesforce Marketers Group Phoenix and marketing champion and 16 times certified application architect. And here are the social handles, the Twitter handle, and you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm more active on LinkedIn than on Twitter. And in today's session, we're going to look mainly at what is Marketing Cloud, the various studios and builders available, and how is data represented in the Marketing Cloud. Data is important in any tool. So in the Marketing Cloud, how we store the data and how we operate with the data is also very important. So we're going to look at various ways that we can store the data. Mainly, we will focus on the data extensions and how we can segment the data. What are the different ways that are available? And then we can have a quick Q&A section. And I'm sure there was a Marketing Cloud introduction session that was done earlier. I think Shibu has done that. So I'm not going to take much time with the introduction of the Marketing Cloud, but I'll keep it simple. So Marketing Cloud is the automation engine that is used to deliver personalized messages. So you might have heard about Marketing Cloud very often recently because it is hot in market and there are very few resources available. So Marketing Cloud, what makes Marketing Cloud so robust is the integration of various studios and builders that are available within the Marketing Cloud umbrella. And you might have also heard about delivering the right message at the right time through the right channels. So this is very important. Am I clear, Amit? Can you confirm?
Yeah,
I feel the echo.
Go ahead, JB. There was somebody unmuted, so go ahead.
Okay. So as you might have heard, Marketing Cloud is about delivering the right message at the right time through the right channels. So Marketing Cloud does that. Now, how can it identify the right message to the right people at the right time? Because it relies on the data and determines what is the best channel to reach out, or what is the best content to include in the email, how to get the content feel like it is more personal. So with all the automation tools, it mostly looks like they're interacting with a machine, but people, we want to feel as if we are interacting with a human. To create that experience, the Marketing Cloud provides various personalization mechanisms to make the message or the email feel like it is more personal, like a human is sending it. And Marketing Cloud has various tracking metrics that tracks how the engagement of a person has been, what channel they are more active on. If they are looking at their emails regularly, so maybe email is the best channel. And if they are looking at their SMS messages, if the open rate is good on the SMS messages, then SMS is the great way to reach out to them. So Marketing Cloud has all the inbuilt capabilities to determine all those things. And depending on that, it can personalize the sending of the further messages. And one other important builder in the Marketing Cloud is the journey builder, wherein we can create some personalized communication mechanism to the users. So the recipients, the subscribers, can be set on a journey wherein they will receive some communications at a regular cadence. And this is like a personalized way for each recipient. Let's say one recipient prefers to receive email messages, and the other may prefer to receive SMS messages. And one person might have signed up for a particular offer or a particular product, and one person might have done a purchase. So the journeys can be created for each experience, and depending on the way they interact, if they open the email, so they can be routed through a different path. So this all can be personalized on a one-on-one way, wherein each recipient or the subscriber feels as if he is getting communications appropriate to the actions that he is taking. And there are different editions in the Marketing Cloud. Basic, Pro, Corporate, and Enterprise. Basic comes with the very minimal emails. So you can only send some promotional emails. And you can do a minimum level of personalization using the basic edition. The Pro edition, it just adds up one-on-one customer journeys that can include only the emails. And the corporate one, it can be used to create cross-channel customer journeys. So this corporate edition is the most commonly used across all the companies. And enterprise, it has more additional features. We're going to look at all the features that can be included in the enterprise edition. And in the corporate edition, some of the features can be excluded. So if you are looking for a relevant edition that just includes the journeys and not necessarily including all the brands across all the locations, then corporate would be the best option. And this is the screenshot that lists all the various studios and builders and all the features that are available within the Marketing Cloud. So these are the ones that come with the enterprise edition as well. The email studio, mobile studio, social studio, advertising studio, web studio, journey builder, automation studio, audience builder, content builder. As you see here, there are so many studios and builders that come with the Marketing Cloud. And not every studio is necessary. Let's say you are setting up a company and you want to start out with basic things like sending email communications to the customers. Then you can start with Email Studio and some journey builder to create journeys and automation studio that comes up with the corporate edition anyways. And these other studios like mobile studio, social studio, advertising studio, these are all the ones that are like add-ons. You can purchase if you want to utilize SMS messages, or if you want to engage with the customers by sending regular advertisements to find lookalike audiences, or to listen to the social channels and create some automations. So these are the other studios that are available. So not to be confused with all these things, we can take it one by one. And the next slide, we have the ways that data comes into the Marketing Cloud. One way, it can come through the Salesforce CRM by using Marketing Cloud Connect integration. The data from the Salesforce can be utilized for the sends and other segmentation aspects in the Marketing Cloud. And the data can also be exported into the Marketing Cloud from external data using FTP or some regular imports or through API. And the various studios are necessarily the ways that communications are sent out. Using the email studio, we can create some emails and send out the emails. Using the web studio, we can create landing pages. Mobile studio, we can send SMS. And advertising studio, we can create some advertisements, find lookalike audiences, create the audiences, and so on. And the builders, they sit on top of the studios. They interact with the assets that are created using the studios. They work across all the studios. Let's say the journey builder. So journey builder can include the SMS messages, the emails, or it can also push some advertisements to the audiences that go through that journey. And content builder, it is used to build the assets, the emails, the messages, and so on. Contact builder is used to manage all the contacts. We are going to look at the contact builder in depth in the next slides. And I have this one listed. I know this has been covered already. So I'm just going to quickly browse through all these ones. This is just as a reference if you want to go back and look at the slides. So these are the various builders and studios that are available. And Marketing Cloud Connect is like a package that we install in the Salesforce to get the data from the Salesforce into the Marketing Cloud. So, and it can also be automated in a way that if any field update is done, or any record creation is done, or some action happens in the Salesforce, that can trigger a journey injection in the Marketing Cloud. Or from the Marketing Cloud journeys, we can update the Salesforce records as well. And we can send the tracking data that results from the email sends in the Marketing Cloud to the Salesforce. And also, we can send emails from Salesforce itself without logging into Marketing Cloud. The backend engine will be the Marketing Cloud. We will create all the emails in the Marketing Cloud, But from the Salesforce UI, we could send the emails when this Marketing Cloud Connect is fully configured. And I think we have a separate session on that to discuss in detail about the Marketing Cloud Connect setup. And just want to quickly touch upon a few resources that are available in the Marketing Cloud space. So Trailhead, for anything, if you want to get started, it is a good way. It has the detailed and easy to understand approach in the Trailhead. So I would normally start with the Trailhead. And there are some events conducted by Salesforce, and there are quite a few sessions related to Marketing Cloud as well. And SFMC Curated, this is like a website which you can use to search any of the Marketing Cloud resources. Pardot and Datarama, a few of the resources are included. So in the SFMC Curated, you can find the blogs or videos or any webinar sessions that happen. And you can also get search by the tags or by the blog name or the channel name. So there are many options. Be sure to check this out, the SFMC Curated. And How to SFMC, it's a great place where there are some great blogs available, and also some videos are linked in there. And you would also see an option to join the Slack channel where you can get your answers, any questions or any solutions that you're trying to find, you can get your answers. And Trailblazing Together is the YouTube channel where there are some good videos related to the certifications and some other user group meeting sessions. And SFMC Trailblazer, I think Shibu manages that. So it also has a great resources that are related to the Marketing Cloud. And these are a couple of certifications that are available for the Marketing Cloud. So as you see here, there are 4 certifications available in the Marketing Cloud. You may be thinking Marketing Cloud is just one product, but then why are there 4 certifications? If you look at the Sales Cloud or Service Cloud or Experience Cloud, it's just one Sales Cloud consultant or Experience Cloud consultant. But for the Marketing Cloud, there are 4 certifications because Marketing Cloud is so vast. It includes a lot of features and a lot of aspects that we need to consider when we are sending an email. Just for creating an email itself, there are so many things that come into picture. And on the email itself, there is a dedicated certification for that. And on the administration concepts, there is a Marketing Cloud Administrator certification. And this is a prerequisite for the consultant certification. And the email specialist certification is a prerequisite for the developer certification. And you might have a few questions when you are starting out learning Marketing Cloud. And these are the questions that I get regularly when people reach out to me or through when I have presented at different sessions. These are the questions that are regularly asked. So finding a mentor. So it's not easy to learn Marketing Cloud because not many resources available, as Amit correctly said in the beginning. When we started learning Marketing Cloud, we didn't even have these many sessions or these many resources that are available. Right now in Trailhead, we have more modules that are available related to Marketing Cloud, and there is some Trailhead simulator kind of thing for some modules. And at some point, we have many sessions done by the user groups as well. So you can follow all those user group meetings that are happening and all the blog posts that are created by the Marketing Cloud experts. And you can reach out to any of the people if you have any questions or if you want to get guidance. I get a lot of requests from people asking for guidance, mostly from people who are trying to switch from Salesforce or from other marketing tool to the Marketing Cloud, asking about the career opportunities in Marketing Cloud, or how can they get started, or what are the resources. So you can approach any person whom you think can guide you. And I'm sure Marketing Cloud, the Trailblazer community, we all are for it, and many people, they would happily accept to help you. And don't hesitate to reach out to somebody and ask for help. And if you are stuck and if you want to get answers, then you can try it out on the Stack Exchange. Marketing Cloud is more active on the Stack Exchange than on the Chatter or the Success community. I see some questions answered on the Success community as well. You can try that. And how to SFMC, there's a Slack channel for that. When you join, you can ask the questions in that Slack group. And there is also another Slack group for the MC Learning Camp. And the other question that I get asked frequently is about the demo arcs. So if somebody wants to learn Marketing Cloud, it's not easy to get a playground, just like we have a developer org that comes free for the Salesforce. But for the Marketing Cloud, it's very hard. I should say there is none available. But I have seen some situations where a user group has provided 500 demo orgs. It's very rare that I have seen that. Please keep an eye for all the user groups or for all the events that are happening, and you might get into an opportunity where the demo orgs are shared. And when some conferences happen, like the Connections in person or some virtual sessions, there are some hands-on training workshops that happen. So when you attend those workshops, you will be given a demo org, and that would typically be valid for 1 week or 1 month. So if you are already working in the Marketing Cloud, but you want to try out the new ones, like the Advertising Studio or the Audience Studio, for which you do not have access to, so that is a good opportunity. So I have tried a long time ago. I have tried the new studios by getting these demo orgs that way. And about the sandboxes, Marketing Cloud doesn't have sandboxes. And if anything that needs to be tested, there are different workarounds to do that. If it is a simple thing like testing an email or a journey, you could pretty much do it in the same production org. And if it is like a complex functionality, then you can think about creating a BU or acquiring a separate, the second Marketing Cloud instance. And there's a lot of debate around the differences between the Pardot and Marketing Cloud. Pardot is basically a B2B tool and Marketing Cloud is a B2C. Pardot, one of the greatest benefit of Pardot is its seamless integration with the Salesforce, and also it's a great lead generation tool. And it has all the inbuilt features for lead scoring, lead grading, and some automations, the connected campaigns with the Salesforce. That is not present in the Marketing Cloud, but there are alternatives in workarounds that we can do in the Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud, on the contrary, it has a great integration with other studios like the Mobile Studio, Advertising Studio, Integration Studio. So if you are thinking about a scalable solution for your organization, it's better to discuss all the use cases and then come up with the tool that best suits the scenario. Let's now get into the data in detail. So data for any tool, it is very important that data is the base on which we maintain everything, all the communications or the further decisions. So how the data comes into the Marketing Cloud? There are different ways. One way, as we have discussed, is the Salesforce. So now we have all the data in the Salesforce that is managed, and maybe the Sales Cloud or the Service Cloud or the Commerce Cloud or the Experience Cloud. The data will be represented as the Salesforce. And with the Marketing Cloud Connect, that is an integration between the Marketing Cloud and the Salesforce, all the data from the Salesforce can be synced with the Marketing Cloud on a regular basis. The minimum cadence can be as often as frequent as 15 minutes. And then with this integration, some data from the Marketing Cloud can be sent back to the Salesforce, like updating some records or sending the tracking data back to the Salesforce, or ability to send emails on a Salesforce report or a campaign. So if you already have the Salesforce CRM set up, then it is the best way to start with having the data in the Salesforce and having Salesforce as the database of record. And it's not necessary that every data that comes in has to be in a Salesforce. There are some clients who use other tools to manage different things. Let's say an e-commerce site. They may be having a lot of purchases and a lot of customer data, and that data can come directly through the marketing cloud. Let's say when a customer goes and does a purchase, and they want to receive the order confirmation, and then when it is shipped, they may be looking for information about the shipping details or the tracking details, and then when it's delivered, an email may be sent to them about asking their feedback, how their experience was, and how the product was. So all this can be triggered directly from the commerce side. So that whenever a customer goes and makes a purchase, all that information can be sent as a payload to the marketing cloud, and that will be stored within the marketing cloud. And similarly, from an external website, that can be integrated into the marketing cloud if using a cloud pages or the landing pages. The data can be directly routed through the marketing cloud. And from that, in the marketing cloud, we can further include them in the journeys and then personalize the journeys and then involve them in receiving regular communications. From a point of sale, also the data can come into the marketing cloud, and from we can manually import data from some Excel sheets or the CSV files. And if the company is maintaining the preference center externally, not within the Salesforce or within the marketing cloud, then that can be integrated into the marketing cloud. Preference center is also very important whenever an email or a message goes out of the marketing cloud. It's very important that only the subscribers or the people, customers who subscribed to receive the email communications, they should be able to receive the emails. There is a lot of governance aspects that needs to be kept in mind when sending an email from the marketing cloud. So how we store the data in the marketing cloud, how we keep the data clean in the marketing cloud is very important. And very commonly said, marketing cloud is not a database, not a data warehouse or a data lake where we dump all the data in it and then we use that data. It can be used only as an automation engine. And whatever data that comes into the marketing cloud, it has to be cleaned or deduplicated, or the unique IDs defined before bringing into the marketing cloud. So whatever data that comes into the marketing cloud, it should come only if you're planning to use that data. Let's say there is a data about the subscribers, the customers. Then if you are trying to send the emails, communications to those customers, then that can be imported into the marketing cloud, that can be synced into the marketing cloud. And if there is any order data, when a customer makes a purchase and there are some details about the purchase, the product, the SKU, the pricing and everything, and you are going to use that data in the email. Like when you send the email to the customer saying you have purchased so-and-so product with so-and-so SKU and with this image and this price is so-and-so, then if that data is needed for the email, then only we'll pull that data. So it has to be kept in mind whenever you're bringing data into the marketing cloud. It has to be clean, and it is something which you're going to use, and it is something which is meaningful. And there is also a limit on the data storage of the data extensions. I think it is 200 GB for the whole marketing cloud instance. And any data that you just want to store about a particular customer, that can stay in the Salesforce or in the external system. And you might have already heard me using the word subscriber. And in the marketing cloud, we use anybody whom we want to send communications to. We refer them as subscribers. The subscribers are typically people who opted in to receive communications. If we want to send a communication, they must have an email address or a mobile number. Then only we would be able to send communications to them. And once we have sent some communications to them, then we can track their behavior. If they have opened the email or not, or if there are any links in the email, have they clicked on the links, or have they opened it, or has the email bounced? Was it delivered to the subscriber or not? All this tracking information can be gathered in the Marketing Cloud itself. And every subscriber that we want to send out communications to, they have to be uniquely identified. And how we store the subscribers in the Marketing Cloud is using data extensions. We're going to look at data extensions in detail in the next slides. But data extension is typically a table, just like in the Salesforce, we have objects to store the various records. The same way in the Marketing Cloud, we use tables that are called data extensions to store all the information about the subscribers and any other information as well. And we can manage the data on the subscribers. We can add more subscriber records in the data extension. We can update it, and we can also create some filters to segment the data extension. Like in the data extension, there is a list of all the customers, but we want to send out an email to only the customers who are the age above the age group of 60. Then we can segment the data extension saying, I want to get a list of all the subscribers above age 60. So this can be done via different ways using data filters and SQL queries. And we're going to look at data filters in detail in the next slides. And whenever a subscriber is sent an email, they will be added to the email all subscribers list. All subscribers list is like a master list, which contains a list of all the subscribers that exist in the Marketing Cloud. And it also maintains the unsubscribe or the subscribe status, and also other details on the subscriber. And there is also the contacts in the Marketing Cloud. Contacts are necessarily any person that exists in the Marketing Cloud. So a contact becomes a subscriber when they receive the communication. And to uniquely identify each subscriber or each contact, we create contact key or the subscriber key. So subscriber key is used in the Email Studio. This is like the unique identifier in the Email Studio, and this is used only when the audience comes from a data extension that is not mapped to the contact model. Contact model is the way we link different attributes together, different data extensions together. If that is not mapped in the contact model, and if it is just the Email Studio, then we use the subscriber key. And whenever we are sending an email, we identify the subscriber key. Even on any data extension, we identify the subscriber. We map it up, the contact key to the subscriber key to identify the subscriber uniquely. And the contact key, contrary, it is used to map all the contacts across all the channels. Let's say you have Email Studio and Mobile Studio, and a contact can exist in two studios at the same time. So in order to map those two together, we have this contact key. If, let's say, the Salesforce data, it has all the details, and if the Salesforce record is coming into the Marketing Cloud, the record ID or the contact ID can be used as the contact key, and it can have the mapping to the Email Studio and to the Mobile Studio as well. And whenever a data extension or a DE contact has been mapped in the contact mode, the contact key is used. And this is specifically used in the journeys when we want to get the updated dynamic data in the journey data. So when we are defining something as a subscriber key, as a contact key, there are some things that needs to be kept in mind. And so I said contact key or subscriber key is something that uniquely identifies a record, a subscriber. Then how do we identify? So not all the times that we have some unique identifiers. So some data can maybe coming from external resources for which it is hard to identify a unique field. So these are some of the things that can be kept in mind when we are identifying a subscriber key or a contact key. If we have the Salesforce integration and the data is coming through the Marketing Cloud Connect, it's pretty much easy because the record already exists in the Salesforce, and every record in the Salesforce will have that record ID, that is the contact ID or the lead ID, and that ID can be used as the unique key. And Salesforce anyways has the merge mechanisms to it can identify the duplicates and merge records, and the data can be kept clean before bringing into the Marketing Cloud. And let's say the data is coming from an external source, and there it is very hard to identify the unique field that can be set as the primary key or the subscriber key. So in those cases, then we need to clean the data first and make sure that there are no duplicates and the data is all clean and only the valid and the usable data is coming into the Marketing Cloud. Then we would first clean the data, and then we will try to identify a subscriber key, a unique identifier. So in some cases, we can use some auto generators to create the unique key outside of the Marketing Cloud. And I have a client before who do not have any unique key that they can think of, and they wanted to have SSN as the unique ID. So that's a big no, because SSN is a sensitive information that cannot be shared, and if possible, I would recommend not bringing SSN into the Marketing Cloud at all. So when you are deciding the unique key, then make sure that it is something that can be used, and also if that is not available, you can use some generators. You can create your own IDs. And if there is no other option available, then email is the last go. And email can be used, and I have seen so many clients, they just use email address, and there are many challenges with using email address. There may be many people in the same household using the same email address. So it is not an unique identifier. Only in cases where no other option is available, then we would go with the email address. And I have seen so many clients who have started out because they're not aware of this, and they started out with using email address as the unique key, and then they do the subscriber key migration. That is like they migrate the key from the email address to some subscriber key. When they integrate with the Marketing Cloud, they migrate the key to the record ID. So if there is a plan to integrate with the Salesforce with the Marketing Cloud, so the first the best approach would be to first get the data into the Salesforce and then integrate it and then get into the Marketing Cloud. Instead of getting data into the Marketing Cloud and then later integrating, first go with the Salesforce and then integrate and get the data from the Salesforce. So whatever data that comes from the Salesforce, it will have that unique ID already assigned. Let's say we have different data extensions, and we have different fields of the unique identifier, the name fields, the email address. So whenever we are sending out an email or we are creating a data extension, we would define what can be used as the subscriber key. We would say what field can be related to the subscribers on the subscriber key. Let's say this is something unique identifier. We would map it as the send relationship on the subscriber key. So this can be used as the subscriber key when the email is sent. We will look at this in the demo part, all these sections. And let's talk in detail about the data extensions. Data extension, as I've said, it's a table that can be used to hold all the information. And there used to be a list in the Marketing Cloud. It's still there, but The most commonly used is the data extensions. And earlier, before a long time ago, it started with the list, but lists have so many limitations. We can only store fewer than 50,000 records, and then we can have only a set of fields that can be defined on the list, and the data types are limited. And there are many limitations with the list, and the data extension is another model to store the data. It is more flexible, scalable, and it has more capabilities. So data extension is the one that is most commonly used. And data extension can be used to import information. Whatever data that is coming into the marketing cloud, it can be stored as a data extension. It can be coming from the Salesforce or by manual imports or via FTP. Everything can be stored within the data extension. What makes it flexible is each data extension can have a different set of fields. Let's say on a contact record in Salesforce, we create a different set of fields, and on the maybe a lead record, we have a different set of fields. The same way, on a data extension, we can create different set of fields. Those are also called attributes in the marketing cloud. And these data extensions are used when we want to send out communications, and they can also be used to exclude members from a send. Now, let's say I am trying to send an email to all the customers in a data extension, but I want to exclude few people like the competitors' email addresses, which are stored in another DE. I can use that DE as a suppression list as well. So whenever I use that, the email will be sent to all the subscribers in the first DU, excluding the ones that are mentioned in the second DE. And DE can be used, data extension can be used to store any information about the customer. And that can be used in the email communications as well. Let's say in the email, you're mentioning, hi, the first name and the last name, and your last login was so-and-so, or you were joining was, you are a member of so-and-so package or something. So we can have all the data in the data extension, and we can use that data in the email. And there are different ways to create a data extension, different types of data extensions. And mainly the most commonly used ones are the regular data extensions, the standard ones. And any data that is coming into the marketing cloud, they'll be referred to as a data extension. And there are two other types, the synchronized data extensions and the Salesforce data extensions. Synchronized data extensions are the ones when the data comes from the Salesforce to the marketing cloud, all those records, the objects, they will be stored as synchronized data extensions. And on the synchronized data extension, we can run some SQL queries, and then we can use them in the email communications or in the journey sends. And Salesforce data extensions are used when we want to send the tracking data from the marketing cloud to the Salesforce. So the data that we send in the any tracking data that is available in the marketing cloud, that will be available in the Salesforce only when they are written to the Salesforce data extensions. And there are also these sendable data extensions and non-sendable data extensions. So when creating a data extension, we would define it as sendable or non-sendable. If let's say there are some data extensions which has the customer information, and there are some data extensions which is just used to store some supporting data, maybe some information about the product. Let's say the product number, the price, the color, the image, source, all these things we want to store it in a separate data extension that can be set as a non-sendable data extension. And when defining the data extension, we would also identify that as testable. So when we are creating an email and we want to preview and test it before actually sending out to the real subscribers, then we can use a data extension as we can define it as testable, and it is used for testing purposes. And these are the different steps to create a data extension. First, we would define the properties, and we will look at it in detail in the demo part. And we would set the retention settings, and we would create the fields, identify the data type and the length. And these are the differences between the standard data extension, Salesforce data extension, and the synchronized data extension. I'm going to quickly skip this slide because this is all self-explanatory and you can go back and refer to this one. And whenever you're creating a DE or whenever you're bringing data into the marketing cloud, there are a couple of things that you need to make sure. And all the fields in a DE, identify the data type. So for all the data that is coming in, identify the appropriate data type and also the length. If it requires only 50, length of 50, then go with 50 and don't expand it to 250 if it is not required. And it is suggestible, recommended to use only one email address for sendable data extensions. And before bringing data into the marketing cloud, keep it clean and make a list of all the fields that are required. And if you're starting out, you don't need to if there is a data extension that is already in there, which is almost the same structure as the one that you're going to create, then just make a copy of the data extension. You don't need to start over again, defining the properties and all the fields with the data types and lengths. You can copy that and you can use it. You can create a copy and update it. And also there are some templates available for the data extensions. So you can use that data extension templates as appropriate. And I'll skip through these ones. These are self-explanatory. So whenever we are creating some fields, so we need to make sure that the appropriate data type, length, the primary key is identified, it's made nullable, and it has a default value. And this is something important. And even if you're preparing for the certification as well, this is something that you need to be aware of. It's the retention settings. So the data that is stored in the data extension, it can be cleared automatically. It means like the records can be deleted automatically by using the retention settings. Let's say you're going to use the data only for a particular period of time. And after that campaign has finished and you no longer want that data, then you can automatically clean the data up by using those retention settings. There are various ways that you can set these retention settings. We're going to look at it in detail in the demo. Maybe it's a good time to break for a demo. I will stop here and share my other screen. Can you confirm you're able to see the other browser window?
Yes, JB, we can see.
Okay, great. So I am in the Marketing Cloud, email. And in the subscribers, there's this option data extensions.
JB, can you increase the resolution a little bit?
Sure.
I mean, the browser size, yeah, zoom in.
Okay, so I have this, I have logged into Email Studio, wherein I can see all the options that are related to the Email Studio. We're going to focus mainly on the data extensions. So these are some of the data extensions that come by default. I can create a data extension by clicking on this one, but before that, you would see these Salesforce data extensions. And if MC Connect has been configured, I would also see something like a synchronized data extensions here in this list. And also, we can share the data extensions across BUs. BUs are like different, if you're comparing it with the Salesforce, we can say different Salesforce orgs. So in the Marketing Cloud, we can create different business units to keep the data separate and also to give different access permissions and have different brand themes and all. So we can use the BU. So if you want to share these items, any of these items across BUs, we can share them as well by keeping them in the shared folders. And as you see here on the BU on the data extension names, we have the type of the data extension, is it sendable or not sendable, and the number of records that are present in there, and also some actions if you want to create a filter, or if you want to split it, or if you want to export or import it. And also filter on the standard or the filtered or the random data extensions. These are also other filters that you can display these data extensions list. And when I create a data extension, I have three options: create a standard data extension, or a filtered data extension, or a random data extension. I'm going to talk about filtered and random in the next few minutes, but let's look at the standard data extension. And create from new, if you want to create from scratch, or if you have already a data extension that exists and if you want to use it as a starting point, you can use that create from existing, and it will list out all the ones that are existing already. So I will go and check what's in there. Okay. I'll choose one, say okay. And there is also another option to create from template. For creating send logs or some of the triggered sends, there are some data extensions that that already exist. So you can use any of these things. So right now I'm just going to create a data extension from the existing one, or let's create from new. And give some description, and then if I want to use it as sendable and I want to use it as testable as well, I can check this out. And the folder location where I want to store. These are all the properties that we set on the data extension, and this one is the retention settings. So is the retention setting on or off? We can toggle here. So if it is on, then these will be highlighted. So in here, we have different options. So do we want to delete all individual records, or when the criteria is met, if you want to delete all records along with the data extension, or only the records and keep the data extension? So we can choose between three different options, and also we can set here when we want to delete the data. So after 6 days or after a year or so, let's say we are running a campaign, and that campaign maybe for the Thanksgiving or something, and after Thanksgiving the data is no longer required, then I can say maybe for a couple of months or so like that, and then I'll say I want to remove the entire data extension along with the records, or all the records or the individual records. When we select individual records, whenever the criteria meets per each record, they will be individually deleted. If let's say in the data extension there are 100 records and only few of them meet the criteria of after 6 days, then only those few records will be deleted and all the other ones will be retained. This reset period, if new record is imported, then we can reset period. So we can identify when we want to have that deleted. Maybe the same contact is coming from the Sales Cloud, and it is updated. Then it is toggled back to as new, and then it will count from then on as after 9 days. So all these can be configured in this second step. And in the third step, this is where we identify all the fields, the data type, the length, and if it is a primary key or nullable. Nullable is when we can have a field empty. So if we don't define this as nullable and try to import or add a value, add a record that has null values, then this won't be, it throws an error. So if we want to let a record even with a null value with this field, for this field, then we can set it as nullable. So first name, I'll say, I don't want it to be nullable. I'll say text and 50, the default value. And likewise, for the last name, I'll give the option to may not be required. So I'll say This is nullable. And then email address, not the recommended way, but for this demo purpose, I'm just setting it as the primary key. Let's say we don't have any other subscriber key, and we are identifying email address as the primary key. And then for the email address, there may be long. I just want to increase that. I can change it here, and make sure that every field that we are defining here has the appropriate data types. And for the data extensions, there are a couple of data types that are available: the text, number, date, Boolean. And when we define it as date, we can also set the default value as current date. So the default value can be set to current also. We can define this one here. And we have Boolean, email address, phone, decimal, locale, and all these. Only the data types can be selected from this specific list. And the email address cannot be null, and last name can be null. Primary key is the email address. And why I have defined the default value for the first name is, let's say in the email, we are using the first name, saying hi, the first name. Then if the first name is empty, sometimes, if in this case, we haven't defined it as nullable. If let's say it is nullable and the value is empty, then it doesn't make sense in the email. It would be better to have some default value display. Then in that case, it can display as high valued customer. So for that reason, we will include the default value. We can delete these here. And once a data type is defined, it cannot be changed later on. So after we create this, these data types cannot be changed. Only way is to delete those fields and then create all over again. If the data extension already has some values, then it would throw an error. We will lose the data. And in here, it's giving error message for me because I haven't set the send relationship. So whenever we are sending a data extension, sending to a data extension, we need to identify what is the subscriber key. So subscriber key needs to be identified. So I have decided here the email address as the subscriber key. So the send relationship is going to be the email address. I think this is the page it's just an error that it's displaying the old page, but where is this? It should be created somewhere. MC first. This is the one that is created, and through this way, from this email studio data extensions, we can look at all the records that are present and also the tracking information when we send using this data extension. All the tracking information like how many mails have bounced or undelivered or unsubscribed. So we can check all the tracking data in here, and all these properties are here. We can edit these fields, but not change the data type. You see here. So we can change the length and change the default value. And these are some of the properties that are available. You can change this one here, used for sending or used for testing. And if there are records available, then they'll be displayed here. And manage policies is where you can set different permissions, the retention policy, and also allow users to modify or not, add any additional fields or not. This can be set in this under this one. And these are the different options available to filter. So we're going to look at this filtering segmentation as well here. I will discuss about this later, but let's look at these records. So in here, if there are any records available, we can simply select this clear data, which clears all the records that are present in the data extension. And we can import from an Excel file or the CSV file. And export, if you want to get all the data from the data extension into a CSV file, we can use the export. I'll go to a data extension which has some data in it. So I have some records in this data extension. I can filter this data extension. So as you see here, these are the different fields that are available. And this is about the prospects who have registered for an event. And they are identified by the region and by the event, to what event they have registered for and the organization they belong to. And let's say I want to send an email to the subscribers who belong to a specific geographic location. Let's say I want to send to all the people in India. I can create a filter saying all the region is equal to so and so. So before I show this, let me switch to the deck where I have more details about this. So we have seen the retention settings and segmentation. So segmentation is like splitting out the data extension into multiple data extensions so that is more usable and that is more meaningful for the sense. And in Marketing Cloud, we have different ways that we can split. Two easy ways that can be done using the UI is using the random splits and the filters. So random splits are like randomly splitting a data extension. Let's say we have 100 records in a data extension. So we can define what is the percentage that can be used for a random split. We can say 50% and 20%, and then the rest goes into another DE. So depending on the percentage that we select, depending on how much percentage that comes into 100%, those many data extensions will be created. And these random splits can be used when we are doing A/B testing, or we just want to try out different strategies. Then we can randomly split and send out the data. Then we do the random split and use different data extensions. And data filters, we use data filters to segment the data based on some criteria, filter criteria. So we can set some measures in here saying if the gender is male or the sport is something, or hiking or running, we can set these filter criteria. And then whatever the records that match that criteria can be stored in a different data extension. And there are different attributes, the different measures that are available while creating a data filter. Let's go to the demo part here. So I'm here in the creating the filter. I'll go back and start the process again. So I have a data extension and I want to segment this. This is a random split. I have 257 subscribers in here. I can set this percentage here, how much percentage has to be split into different data extensions. I'll give the name for each. And I'll keep adding these data extensions and say the first 10% would go into this data extension. The second, if you look at the end, it has 0, segment 0, segment, it automatically takes the name. So if you want to change the name, you can change it here as well. And 10% and 10%, and the remainder, whatever that is remaining, that will go into another data extension. So we can set this up here, how much percentage we want to have the subscriber split into, and then we'll use this save and build, which automatically filters, segments this randomly. Then we'll go and see how a data filter can be created. Data filter is the easy way to segment the data extension using UI. Click and so we can set you drag and drop. We can pull in the filter criteria and set it here. And if it is something complex like involving one or more than one data extension, then SQL queries would be the best bet. And I'm sure Shibu will cover more about that in detail in the Automation Studio session. So let's go back to, and now let's try to create a filter. And I can save it as a filter and use it again for the other data extensions as well. And this data filter once saved can be used in the automation as well. So I will also identify where I want to store. If I want to create a new folder, I can create it here. And I have this filter stored. And if I want to use this filter, I can reuse that. Now I am using this filter and building a data extension using this. And I want to store that in the demo. Let's see. I'm not sure. Yeah, there may be not records that meet the criteria of region India. So not there are no records. So I can go back to this filter. This is the see here the filtered sources. This is the filtered. I can go and edit that the criteria. This is the data extension that I just now created. And this is the filtered criteria. Region is equal to India. So I'll go and edit that criteria and change it to, let's see if this one exists. So when you save that, you will get a list of all the records that meet that criteria. So maybe this doesn't have something, region is nullable, it may not have all the fields filled in as well. Let's try to identify something which meets the criteria. This is the one main data extension that I used to segment. Let's look at. Okay, I'll say national. And for the filtered data extension that I just created, as you see here, the type is filtered. So I go back to this data extension and change the filter criteria to something that matches. And I hit the save and refresh, I'll get the list of all the records that match this criteria. But before go that, let me let's look at all the different operators that are available. So on a text field, we can check whether it is equal or not equal. For a numeric field, there is this greater than, and for the text contains. And for the date as well, there are so many, there is no date field here, but date as well, there are so many operators that are available. And I save this. And once I save this, the latest filter criteria will be checked and I'll get a display of all the records that meet that criteria. So there are 42 records. I can go to this record list and check all the ones that has the region as national. And now let's look at the contact builder. Contact builder is the place where we manage all the contacts across all the studios. And data designer is the place where we identify all the attribute groups and link them to the contact model. This is how the contact model looks like. So the contact can be mapped in a one-on-one relation with all the other attribute groups. We can create an attribute group, give it a name and select. If the data extension already exists, you can link the data extension, or if it is not already in there, you can create one here. And when we are selecting, we have we have to map how the contact key relates to this one. So for this one, I will select the relationship. Is it one-on-one relationship or one-to-many relationship? Let's say a customer can have multiple. If it is an order data extension, one customer can have multiple orders. And if it is a customer data extension, it's just one customer which is uniquely identified. It is one-on-one relationship. So I will identify this and also identify the contact key, which is the unique identifier. In this one, we have we will be using email as the contact key, and we can also remove that and set this relation. And whenever you are mapping something in the data model, make sure that you're making that you have thought enough, and that's the way you wanted to map all these data extensions together. Then in here, you would see how they are linked. So this is linked together. And if you want to get data from multiple data extensions, let's say this is the data extension about the customer. And if you want to link some order data extension or some products related data extension, then we will go here and link another data extension to this one. If it exists, or choose the one, or if you want to create one, you can create from here and link all this together. So the data can be linked with each other, and that can be fetched, that can be used in the journeys or in the email sense. And all contacts is the place where all the records across all the studios can be displayed. So all contacts here, it displays a list of a number of all the contacts that exist in the Marketing Cloud instance. And when you buy a Marketing Cloud license, you would purchase the number of contacts as well. You would say 45,000 or 1 million. So you need to make sure that this count is below the limits that you have purchased. So if it goes above, let's say you have purchased for 45,000 contacts and you have a contact list which grows above that and it reaches 1 million, then you will be billed extra for all those extra contacts. So always make sure the number of contacts that are present in the Marketing Cloud. Under here, you can see that here. And as you see here, there are different sources and different channels. So if you want to see all the contacts that belong to this email channel, you can see here. So as you see here, the same count, not much difference, because Email Studio is the only one that is being used on this instance. If let's say Mobile Studio is also configured, I would see all these records under this one as well. So right now it is 0 because there is no contact that exists in the Marketing Cloud. And when you have this integration done between Salesforce and the Marketing Cloud, any contact, lead, or a user record that comes from the Salesforce, it will be counted under this limit. So just make sure that if you are almost nearing your contact count, then only bring the records that you need to send emails to. So create some flows or set some flags on the Salesforce data to limit only the records that you want in the Marketing Cloud. So if you just bring every data into the Marketing Cloud, that will be counted towards these limits. So just make sure before bringing the data. And the sources, if you are doing manual import or web collect, when you have landing pages and that's coming through those pages, any mobile app opt-ins or through the integration. So it will be displayed by the source aspect. And if you want to check the records that came in recently, within the last 7 days or 30 days, you can check it here. And these are the different types of data sources. If the data is coming through the Marketing Cloud Connect, you will see it under Synchronized. And these are the system data sources that are available. By default, they will be in there. And the custom are the ones that you would create. And here's also a list of all the data extensions that exist in the Marketing Cloud here. One additional thing that you can do in the data extensions from the contact builder is you would be able to add individual records to an existing data extension. From within the email studio data extension, you would not be able to add. You can only import. But from this one here, from the contact builder data extensions tab, you can go and add a specific record, just one record or something. You can define these attributes and click on save. So if you want to manually, like using the UI, add any records to a data extension, this is the way. And there are other ways like using the API or some triggered sense that you can add data into the data extension. And all the import data will be visible here, and the contacts configuration where you can set some configurations of how the contact ID mapping does, or the contact delete when you are going to delete some contacts. What is the retention period? How long they have to be saved in stored in the marketing cloud before they are actually deleted? Some of the settings can be configured here. I think that is all from the contact builder. And here's the populations we would define. This is like demo org, which doesn't have anything configured, so you wouldn't see anything. So under the population, we would identify how the contacts are represented. Let's say there is a hospital which wants to save information about all its customers, all its contacts. So the contacts can be in the form of the contacts of all doctors, the contacts of all patients, the contacts of all insurance companies. So that those are different populations that can be identified as different populations. So for doctors, it can be one population, and for the patients, it could be another population, and for the insurers, it can be another population. So we identify the different contacts using populations and link them using these attribute groups. And under the list here, you can see lists, groups, and all these data extensions, Salesforce data extensions, and shared data extensions. Salesforce data extensions is the place where all the whatever we save in that data extensions that can be sent back to Salesforce. Shared data extensions can be shared across the BUs. And data relationships is if we want to link two data extensions together, we do that using data relationships. And suppression list, we define a list of all the records whom we don't want to send the email to. We can create those as a suppression list and use it when sending emails or any communications. Data filters we have just seen, and these data filters can be used in the automation as well. I think that is all for today's session. Any questions?
Thank you, JV, for such detailed session with the clear demo. There were a couple of questions which we actually got in the chat window, but most of them were got answered by Sibu. And thank you, Sibu, for being such a great help over here for answering all the questions. Now, I would request every participants, if they have questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question directly.
Hi Amit, this is Abhishek here. I have a question. Can I go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we, JB has explained it in a very decent way. So we have got it how to create the data extension. She has also helped us to tell us that there is one thing she has explained that we cannot update the data type of the field, right? So for that we have to delete that. So my question here is the way we do it in Salesforce CRM, right? We get dependencies. We try to delete that field. Do we have such kind of ability in SFMC?
You can try exporting the data extension and then importing it, and there may be some automations that could be using that data extension, or it could be used in the journey sense as well. So you need to make sure that it is not currently being used. Maybe pause the automation or the journey and then make the changes and then resume that.
But that is all about data, right? So whatever manipulations you are trying to say here, right, it is all about data. So my question here is, if I am basically using that particular attribute or personalization in some of my activities, because I'm not that much aware, but because newly I'm started exploring FMC. So like email studio, which you have shown, right, there was discussions about there is journey builder or something. So these are something, I assume these are the components, right? So if I refer that particular attribute, so didn't I get a straight dependencies at the time of deletion?
Yes, some of the fields you would not be able to delete. So those things you need to make sure how they are used, how they're linked. So what I would normally do is I'll first create another field with the updated data, and then export it and then get the data in. And whenever I use, I map it to the new field. If Shibu has anything to add, I think yeah, I see him unmute. Shibu has anything to add, he can.
Yeah. So if you're using that in AMP script and all that, it probably will not be able to identify who asked the question. By the way, sorry, I didn't.
It is Abhishek.
Yeah, Abhishek. Yeah, I don't think you will be able to identify it. It is not that smart as like when you have integrity reference and all that, like how we have in Salesforce CRM. It probably will allow you to delete it. It will not check if you are using the attributes in your code or your personalization and all that. Okay, so that kind of things won't be this. As far as I know, it's not supported. We can probably check and then come back to see if Stack Exchange has somebody has any workaround on that, or if there is anything automated for that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so but you have which means you have to be careful when you delete it. You have to go and see if you have anything that you have configured and kept, it will break. So be careful. But if it is something out of the box, maybe in journeys and stuff like that, maybe if you have configured something, I am wondering when you try to refresh something in the journey, it might show an error. So that is the only way that I can think of. But definitely not in scripts and all that. It will not highlight error. It will just break. The cloud page will break, or the AMP script personalization email, everything will break.
Okay, because it is a huge risk, I think.
Yes, yeah. So that's why they don't give permission to delete for everyone. You have to be very careful, and even in when JB was showing the attribute group, right? There is a warning message that comes up, especially in attribute groups. Okay, so anytime you go into contact builder and try to add a D, link a D, whatever it is, it shows you a warning saying you are going to mess up with the data model. So be very careful. Okay, so people who do not know about the data model, if you try and do something on that, it'll screw up the entire data. But usually people who do it are people who have been using the data model, so they are quite aware of how to use, and so that warning is meant for a reason. That's why. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thanks both. Yeah,
Sure.
I have another one. Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. So when we says, right, JB, you were discussing about the all subscribers and all contacts. So I may be confused between all subscriber contact, but my question here is, let's say I have a Salesforce org, okay, which is integrated with Salesforce Marketing Cloud, right? I have a customer. Let's say mine is only a customer, like let's say Abhishek, right? And I have a specific email addresses. For that, I have given a preference that I want to receive an email, right? So to that is the one contact which is already exists in SFMC. That is an assumption. In another use case, there is a web page or a website, you can say, because you are showing us some journeys, right? That from website and other things also we can basically integrate, and our data will basically sell into SFMC. So let's assume that I have website. From that also, I get that particular link to the website, and I just try to input my data over it. Okay. And the second contact will also basically come to the SFNC, because here I am not giving the email address. I have just given my mobile number. The reason being is I just want to opt for SMS here. So in such cases, right, what is the best practices to avoid the duplicates? Because because we are for the same customer, we have two contacts here, or either you can say two subscriber, until unless so
yeah, go ahead, JB, if you want.
Yeah. So when you create a web page, you can create some APIs which can look at retrieve the objects in the Salesforce. So by using the fields that the customer fill in, so you can try to fetch the data from the Salesforce, get the record ID, and then map it to the data that is currently filled in. So you can map that using some APIs. And you can also update that information directly into the Salesforce as well. Shibu, you can please add.
Yeah, sure. So on the contact model, right? So I think JB had showed you that JB, if you have that screen open and you have that contact where it shows all the contacts by email, SMS, and all that.
Yeah, I'm gonna share.
Yeah. So Abhishek, so primarily, see, the basic concept is everything in Marketing Cloud is a contact. Okay. So any person's record you're bringing into Marketing Cloud, we call it a contact. The subscriber concept comes in when you're saying you going to use this contact for sending out emails. Okay. So meaning that this person, it may be from Salesforce CRM, it may be from a web page, wherever it is. If we bring in the record into a data extension or a list or wherever it is, and we say this person has opted in to receive emails, and we send him an email, then this person gets added into the subscriber list, meaning all subscribers. That is when that person is termed as a subscriber. But it also means he is also a contact. Okay, so all subscribers are contacts, but not all contacts are subscribers. This is a very important statement you need to know. Okay, so in the contact model, okay, and the reason for having contact model is because Email Studio is the only one that supports subscribers. All other channels like SMS, mobile push, Web Studio, all those things like it doesn't support subscriber list. They use data extensions. Okay, so that is the reason why when you're creating a data extension, you would have seen when you mark it as sendable, there is a field that actually, like JB was configuring, saying you have to mark it as a subscriber key. Like any of the field that you create in the data extension, if it is a sendable data extension, you have to specify which field in the data extension is mapped to the subscriber key in all subscribers list. If you don't do that, Marketing Cloud will not know that, okay, which field for this particular contact should I use as the subscriber key when I add it to all subscribers list. Okay, so whenever I'm sending an email to a particular subscriber or a contact, okay, it always looks at the all subscribers list. That is the master record of all the, for anything to do with email. It doesn't look at the data extensions because data extensions can keep changing. Okay, so if your record, like you said, I brought in from Salesforce, okay, and I added this into the all subscribers list because I sent an email, it will have a record over there saying, okay, Abhishek, his subscriber key is this one. Okay, we have sent him an email, he's an active subscriber. Okay, also your record will be in the contact model, okay, with the contact key equal to that subscriber key.
Right.
Okay, next time when your record is coming in through let's say from through SMS or something, but then you are adding that as a separate, you're bringing in a different, from there also when you come in, you have to specify contact key. There, if you use a different contact key, like for the mobile number, it might come as a different record, right? But if the email address, if you're able to like see, okay, when we have multiple ones, then we have to go and do deduplication. So this is why where we use like certain tools like CDP or Interaction Studio and all that to figure out. And definitely there will be certain times when you will have duplicates. Okay, the best way to avoid duplicates is to use the GUID, if you're using Salesforce integration. So that is why they recommend to use the 18-character GUID if you're having Salesforce CRM integration. But it is not foolproof. You might, if you have multiple systems from where you're expecting to get data, you may end up with, which is why they say the data strategy is very important of how you actually try to get data from multiple systems into Marketing Cloud. So you have to be, that is the first thing that you need to set up. How are we going to get on our data? Okay, what are the different ways? And it's something that should be scalable. It's not like you can do it in one shot in the beginning and you will never change it, right? So you should have a way to be able to use unique IDs. If you're always going to use Salesforce CRM as the source to get all contacts, then that means every contact has to be entered into Salesforce and then brought in from there. You shouldn't be bringing a contact from another system directly into Marketing Cloud because it will not have a GUID, right? But if you're having two different systems where you might say, okay, I'm going to get it from Dynamics and I'm also going to get it from Salesforce or from some other system, then you might have to come up with a unique ID that you can use across both the systems.
Yeah, because we have such use cases, right?
Yeah,
because,
that's what I'm saying. So it varies from company to company on how you want to bring up that particular scenario of what unique ID. So it could be a customer ID. Okay, you might give a unique, you can generate a unique ID in those systems and then you can put it. But try to keep that outside of Marketing Cloud, meaning because you have to specify that ID when it's coming into Marketing Cloud, saying, okay, this is the unique. It's not like you bring in and then you define, okay, this is the unique key that we are going to assign.
Okay. So I think, Shubho, if I follow you, right, so what you are suggesting here is, if you have multiple sources like this, right, then the generation of the unique key should be unique across the systems. Okay, then only we can avoid such kind of scenarios.
Correct. So because your business best knows which is the different ways that your customers are going to come through, right?
Correct.
So Sibu, I have one question related to this one, the unique key, right?
Hey,
So
just hey, sorry, Brish, to interrupt here. Guys, JB has to leave for a marriage, so she'll be leaving. I think I and Sibu are here, and there are many people, and we can keep continuing with Q&A part.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Amish.
you.
thanks, JB.
Thanks,
Yeah, thank you,
everyone.
JB, for
Thanks,
this
Shubho.
awesome
It was
session.
really helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had to leave, unfortunately. I will
No
join
worries.
in the next
No
session.
worries. No
Thank
worries.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joshna.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so just I'm asking that, like, the unique key, in the Salesforce, there is one things I missed, that one, the composite key concept, right? So in the other database, you will having this feature. So same situation we are also facing long time, and what we like give the solution like the composite key, we build a dynamic way. So for any system, if we have the composite key concept, like if we build these type of things in our system, so maybe there will be no dependency on the Salesforce unique key, Salesforce created unique key, other system unique key. Just suppose if you have the name field and date field and something else, it's just same logic if you put in the both system, any system, and then you will get the same record and same data from anywhere, right? So might be that because we are currently using these things and it is working very well, so that might be the one solution for the unique key concept.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, it varies from companies, right?
Right.
So in your case, like you have used a composite key of using the GeoID and some other unique ID. So wherever you have that Salesforce GeoID coming in, it is part of the unique subscriber key that you're going to set, or the contact key that you're setting. So that way you can track, okay, if there is a particular 18 character ID in that, you can do. Another way to do it, like you have an ETL where it comes through. Okay, so certain companies have where they have an ETL in between, which actually brings in contacts from multiple sources, and they generate a unique ID and then send it across.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And so that way you can have a Salesforce ID as a separate field in the data extension, which will keep the character ID, and it is not, it can be a nullable field, meaning if it is coming from Salesforce, that value will be populated. If it's
like
coming
like external ID, external ID, yeah, correct.
Yeah. But yeah. It is not a mandatory field. But if you set that ID as a mandatory primary key or something, and if it is not coming from Salesforce, it will error out. That is the problem. That's what I'm saying. Right. You have to figure out the logic on how you want a unique key to be generated. So you can do it at the Salesforce level, you can do it at the middle layer anywhere, but not in Marketing Cloud was my point.
So one thing, Sibu, just because I'm pretty new for this Marketing Cloud, just I am curious to know everything. So here what I observed that we have to be maintain the two separate database for that Salesforce and the Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud seems to be the total separate entity. It is not directly connected with our Salesforce, normal Salesforce CRM, what we are doing. Suppose we are having the customer database in our Salesforce. So it is not directly attaching with the Marketing Cloud that we can we can use their emails from the Salesforce database and directly we can use in the Marketing Cloud, right?
Correct. So Salesforce CRM totally different, like you said, and then Marketing Cloud is on exact target platform. It is a very different tool. They both can be integrated. Both have email capabilities. Okay.
Yeah.
So the where it shines is the email that you have in Salesforce. Now there is capability for you to customize and all that, but then it is not as great as how you would want to use content and do dynamic personalization. So many things you can actually add, right? The other place you have to do merge templates and you have to work a lot to do much of customization. It's much more easier to use a marketing tool where you can have branding assets and everything that is shared and then approved by a marketing team. So in those particular cases, it is better to use marketing and then not only for email, Marketing Cloud, you have multiple channels. So sometimes, like nowadays, like nobody just relies only on email for marketing, right? So you would look at like how you get mobile ads, like either through an application or through SMS. And then real-time personalization is something that many people in our community today we look at, right? So we want to know at the moment we are actually in the vicinity of something, suddenly you get an ad because you have browsed for something, immediately you get an ad saying, oh, I was looking for this, suddenly I got an ad. So these are all like AI things working in the background. So marketing the cloud suite has a lot of capabilities like this, right? Which is much more beyond what Salesforce in the regular CRM offers, right? So you can integrate like from CRM into marketing cloud, and people who are working in the sales side or the service side in CRM, they can send emails that are existing in marketing cloud sitting within CRM itself. There is an option to do that using the integrated
That's great.
connected packages.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, means no need to upload the daily data from the here and there, right? Just we can integrate from
You can use report or campaign data from Salesforce itself. Okay, and then just you can as long as the integration is available, you should be able to select the email that you want, and they have the access. Their user has the access. They will be able to select the report that they want to. Like, the report will be like basically your contacts or leads or campaign members. Okay, it should be a specific person that you are trying to send to. Okay, and so once you have it, you can choose, okay, I want to send this particular lead email, or campaign email I want to send. They can choose it from there itself and send it out.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Evo, for this detailed answers. I think
Sure.
anyone else who wants to go ahead? I think Ruchi is asking, is there any dedupe strategy that you can suggest for marketing cloud data management?
Not I'm assuming it is a dedupe, it was typo, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, dedupe. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Ruchi, not inside marketing cloud, so whatever I have understood from when I discussed with Vlad and some of the other folks as well, it's something that you would have to start think about it before you try bringing in data, right? And always it is not possible. At some point in time later on, a few years down the line, suddenly you see a new system getting integrated. At that time, you have to think of, okay, how do we want to change? Do we want to use the existing model that we have, and then whatever data comes in, we try to integrate into the model that we have? Or do we want everybody, let's say 2 years down the line, now we are saying Salesforce is going to be the center of truth, right? And we were using a different unique ID before that. Now we want everything to go through Salesforce. Then the question comes, okay, what do we do with the old contacts? So you might want to you might have to archive those contacts, export them out, get them into Salesforce, and then bring them again from Salesforce into marketing cloud by deleting all the old ones, and then maintain the subscription data. It is a bunch of work to be happening there. It's not very straightforward that you can immediately just port it out. Okay, so you have to think of the amount of work that will be involved. If it is something that is possible for the organization to do, then you would be able to do it. Look at it from the long run perspective. If it's just a short term thing that you want, and if there's a lot of work to be done, then don't do it. But if you think long term wise, okay, this strategy is what we want to do, then you have to figure out, okay, how do we want to address the data that we already have versus the data that is going to come in future, right? And it's not something you can do inside marketing. Marketing is not meant to be a warehouse tool or a data warehouse or ETL thing like that. You have to use external tools for that. So you have to take the data out, either into CRM or some ETL tools, whatever you want, get it done. Figure out what is going to be your contact or lead, the source of truth for that, and then see how you want to bring the data in.
Yeah, thanks, Evo. I think there is one question Dinesh is asking. I want to move from SFDC to SFMC. What are the things that I need to learn to move into the marketing cloud?
Very loaded question. Everybody wants to know that, Dinesh. So not easy. I'll be very blunt. I know there's a lot of people here, who want an easy answer for this. See, always having a hands-on org is something that you would want, to learn something that is new, right? Very difficult because Salesforce does not open it out, like the free DevOps that we get for Salesforce CRM, right? You have to either be a customer or you have to be part of a partner organization that has marketing cloud. That is the only way that you can get a hands-on, or A couple of other options is you have to go do a training with one of the accredited training partners from Salesforce or the Trailhead Academy course, where it is costly. So, and then you might get a free access for a month or so when you take that particular course. So these are the only options that I know of, like, how you can get access to an actual org. Okay. But then this is one of the reasons why some of us in the community have been, like, generating content, because when we learned it, like, like JB was saying, few years back, there was nothing in the community other than the Salesforce documentation. It was very difficult. The first time I failed email specialist because I had no idea, like, the difference between list and data extension other than the documentation. And I was, like, groping in the dark, like, for figuring out what is what. It took me actually some time to figure out, and that is why we started making videos and content so that people can really understand what is actually, like, the essence behind the data model and how do you use it for marketing, right? So I would say, like, if you don't have access to an org, do follow up on some of these content videos that the community has been generating. There is quite a bit out there right now. Boot camps are there. Boot camps have been done for all the 4 different certifications, so that's available in the YouTube channels that we mentioned earlier. So you can refer to some of those. Trailhead modules are there as well. And then once you get access, in sometime in the future, if you get an access, then great. Like, you can refresh that and you can start looking at some of these videos, and then you can do hands-on on that, right? But yeah, other than that, I don't know if there is an easy way to do it. But if you know Salesforce, like, and if you ask if it's an advantage coming into marketing, I wouldn't say yes or no, because, like, it is a totally different tool. Okay. You have to learn, like JB was saying today, you need to know the basic of, like, how to, like, operate the platform, how to configure the data. It is much simpler. It's not very complicated. It's very simple. Like, there is only list and data extensions, and list is only for email. Everything else is data extension. Then all you need to do is you need to know the channels. Like, okay, how do I use email? How do I create web pages using, cloud pages? Mobile, there is SMS. I don't know if we are covering that because that not every org has that. So we probably may not be able to cover in this. Maybe in a future advanced session, we might be able to do it. But then email and web, straightforward. If those two you learn, you should be able to, like, be good along with journeys and automation studio. So that is the primary crux of, like, that you would want to know of the marketing cloud platform for you to be proficient, at least in your day-to-day activities. Programming side, there is something called AMP script, which is somewhat similar to your Excel functions. Okay, there is a guide. It's very simple. If as long as you know what the functions are and how to, like, call the function, pass the parameter, you should be able to write it very easily. Like, if you guys have done Apex or if you have done Lightning and all that, very, very straightforward. This is much more simpler. The more difficult one is server-side JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, you should be able to pick up SSJS very well. It's an older version of ECMA. That's ECMA 3. So, like, if you have worked in JavaScript before, it should be straightforward as well. Okay, so it's slightly more powerful when you want to use JSON and, API calls and all that. So those are the 2 mostly used programming languages in Marketing Cloud, and we will be covering AMP script, I think, on the 5th day, right, Amit?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So we will be covering AMP script, so that will help. And if you're looking into getting into a Marketing Cloud developer role, what I would suggest is, like, these some of these sessions will actually help. You need to know the data model, okay, in and out of, like, how the data works. You need to know marketing automation, which is, like, automation studio and journeys. At least one channel, which is email, okay, and then AMP script, okay. These at least basics, then the rest of it you can learn easily, like, on the job. So I believe, like, this series plus some of the old videos that are there, or, like, new videos that are coming in some of the communities will definitely help you as well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks you for this detailed answers.
Sure.
I think, guys, we would wrap up now. We won't accept any questions. Like, if you have, please feel free to reach out to us via our channel, which is Telegram. I think, let me put I'll share that via email, so you can just go there and ask the questions. We are definitely here to help you. And we have the session tomorrow on same time, so we would love to see you all there in the session. So thank you, guys, and again, thank you, Sevu, for being such a great help.
Sure.
And
Happy
we'll
to
meet
help.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.